Welcome to the Careering Podcast, a collection of rants and reckons on all things career, hosted by author and creator of Careering 9, Melissa Davies, and her partner in crime, Kelsey Ingalls. If you're brave enough, take a seat, settle in and listen as we tackle difficult career and workplace issues. Sometimes we'll be wrong, sometimes we'll be right, but we will deliver it with confidence and a touch of colourful language, so it will at least be entertaining.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Careering Podcast. I am Kelsey, one of your co-hosts, and with me as always is the creator and founder of Careering 9, Melissa Davies. Hola, motherfucker. How you going?
I was going to say hola as well, and then I was like, you stole my line.
I just came in hot today. I came in real hot, but that's, it's how we're living our life at the moment, just getting shit done. Great segue for me, because some other lovely ladies that get shit done are Jen and Jane from Jane and Jen's Excellent Adventure, are back with us this week to have another go at an F-word episode, because we all know we love the F-words, but primarily we love the word fuck. If you are new to the podcast, welcome to it. We're into it. We're rocking. Jane and Jen, hello. How are you?
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. That's like a BBC statement that people used to say. I want to first say, I don't know why it's Jen and Jane and not Jane and Jen, because I'm going to ask that till the day I die.
I literally thought as I was saying, I was like, have I got it run the right way?
Because it's easier to say. It's easier to say. I tried it and I spoke it like 75,000 times out loud, and saying Jane first, because it's 3 letters versus 4, it's so much easier to say Jen and Jane, like Bill and Ted's Jen and Jane. It's easier to say. Yeah. That's the only reason. Not because I want to be first or anything like that. It's easier to say. Jane needs a therapy session on this, because she's brought this up like 1,000 times, and she needs to get over it.
I need to get over it. I love it, because what does your mum call me? Does she call me
Jan.
Jenny or Jane?
Jan.
Or Jan. So Jan is like our little side friend who lives with us.
She just likes to say both of our names. Yeah, she just combines both of our names when she talks about you.
I kind of feel like Jan could be your sassy alter ego that does all the things.
Yeah, I know, right? Like Beyonce and Sasha Fierce.
Yeah.
Jan. Like my mate. Jan's my mate who lives.
Jan's
lives in the
quilting.
spare room.
No, she's your craft. Okay, so Jane.
She's my art teacher.
She's your crafts teacher. Jane should have been a crafts teacher in another lifetime. Jan is it. Jan is her.
The alter ego.
Jan is her. I love it. Yes, we are here again. We are Jen and Jane. I am based in Queenstown. Jen is based in Christchurch. Obviously, as you can hear, we didn't explain that last time, that we are not born in New Zealand. I got that by now. I'm originally from the UK, and Jen is from the US of A. And we are so deeply passionate, seriously, about working with women and to support them with their relationship with money and boundaries, and just going through that roller coaster of a business life. We know we can't do this stuff alone, and we just love it when people come into our community and just go, oh my God, it's so good to find a space and a place to just go, oh my God, what is this we're going through?
Someone has to do that, Mahi, and we appreciate that you are out there doing it and helping the wonderful women who are trying to get shit done in this world. But I think for this week, our F word is going to be finances. We're talking dollar bills, y'all. We are going to dive straight into it, because you know what, we're not scared of a hard topic. So we're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about finances. Where do we want to start, team? That's a big topic.
It's massive, and we did a training session before, and we were like, we could talk about this for years and hours. We've done a lot of work on ourselves around money, but we also talk about it all the time. Like we really try and talk about it all the time. So if you're listening to this, and I think just thinking about what that word money makes your body do is a really good place to start. So you're either somebody who potentially will be like, it makes me feel a bit ick. Like ick is a word people use a lot, or people get very excited about that word. I think there is a spectrum, but I do think you either go you go one way or the other. I was an ick person, and now I love talking about it. And just the nuance of it is, especially as a woman in a country where talking about money is just not something you do. And I come from a country where you don't talk about that stuff. So.
Yeah. Where's your bodily response, Melissa?
I was giggling because right next to me is the book, The Psychology of Money. Because what I've realized in business, I'm really comfortable talking about money. I'm happy negotiating salaries. I'm happy sitting with clients talking about the price of things. And I just see money as a thing that gives me access to do what I want. I'm not motivated by money. And I wish I was in some ways, because I think I would expect more for myself. And so it's actually something I've had to learn to do, because my natural instinct is because it doesn't motivate me, but it is a hygiene factor. And what I've realized is I can have more positive impact on the world if I had more. So I'm really working on changing my mindset around that. So very timely, hence the book, The Psychology of Money, because I need to really understand something before I can lean into it. So yeah, so I'm not an ick on it. I would like more of it. And I think, but what I love is, and the whole reason this podcast came about is because we think it's really important to have these big conversations that women don't typically have. So I love that you two are super passionate about it. And I'd love to hear, Jen, what your thoughts are on the topic.
I fucking love it. I fucking love money so much.
Like, yeah.
The end.
The end.
Done.
No
statement.
Yeah,
she's out.
I also, as a United States citizen and somebody who has grown up in a culture of hustle and culture of ambition, money, I've never looked at it as something that was scary, or I looked at it as something to work towards, because ambition is such a huge part of the American culture or North American culture, that working hard towards your goals and being an ambitious person and learning and growing is actually just part of that entrepreneurish lifestyle. Yes, it has terrible things attached to it, but I never looked at money as something that I couldn't achieve. It's just I didn't know how to get there. And to be very honest, I struggle tremendously in this country with talking about money, because especially with women, because they self-sabotage so much, and they don't shout for themselves. They don't, say they want money. So when we ask them, how much money do you want to make? They're like, oh, I'd like to make $1,000 a week. And I was like, really? Like, what is your gut saying? What is your real ambition? Like, dream fucking big. Like, what is going on? So for me, I find it really, really hard when women dim their ambition to stay in that box. So for me, I still very, very much struggle with not understanding the levels of ambition that I normally see at home here. And so for money, I can talk about all day, every day. And it doesn't matter what topic it is, whether or not I don't have it, or whether I want to be a millionaire, or how to save, whatever it is, I'm completely confident in talking about it, because you have to learn and you have to start from somewhere. And confidence grows, especially with money, the more that you learn and the more conversations you have and the more vulnerable you are. And that teaches you so much about money in itself, is being able to say, hey, I actually don't know a lot about money, and I don't know where my my opinions or my thoughts on money actually come from. I think I've taken them from my family or what I grew up with, but I actually do want to make a lot of money, and that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
No shame.
Yeah, it's a weird culture here in New Zealand where it's just something you're not talking about. You don't talk about. Like, I got it from my family. You don't talk about it. You don't ask the questions. You don't offer things up. And it's amazing when you do offer things up, because I now take it upon myself to just make people feel uncomfortable. Apparently that's a theme that's coming through on the podcast. I say things to make people uncomfortable. When I talk about my salary with my family, you can see them just kind of like seize up. And I'm like, oh, I can see where some of my stuff comes from when that happens.
Yeah.
It's such a Kiwi thing. And it's just, especially as women, just don't talk about it. What's your experience been, Melissa?
Oh, I was just going to say there's one of the things that we've done this year that I'm really proud of is my cousins, Kelsey, and another couple of friends. We were talking about between our group of friends, we all have some strengths and knowledge, and different knowledge areas. And one of my cousins is really driven to be financially secure, and she's made sacrifices to do that. Like she's really measured in her approach to things, and she works in lending. And she mentioned some of the changes to legislation, and a few of the other girls were like, hey, I don't know a lot about that. They were really open to sort of acknowledging that and thinking about what they didn't really understand what the process was to go about taking on debt to buy their first home. And so we ended up all going for brunch. There's a cafe in Christchurch that has a boardroom that you can have for an hour. So we all went for brunch, and she took us through, saying 14,000 times, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. But sharing her experiences around lending and getting a mortgage, and it was just one of those fundamental things. And I think, and I reflected on how did I learn about what I needed to do when I was living in Australia at the time, when I bought my first house. And I was like, I literally bought a book on it because no one in my family had ever talked about it. I was like, that's bullshit. So I love the fact that I think if you blend your two themes here around fun and finances, like having brunch with your besties and learning about debt and equity and how to save for your first home and all of that from someone you trust, it was epic. And it was such a cool way.
Oh, I was fizzing. It was such a good session. And you could just, the beauty of it being in a safe space and a fun space with your friends was there was no dumb questions. There wasn't a single dumb question. Everything was valid. It was just such an amazing space to be in as women, because we don't often get that opportunity to be in those safe spaces to ask those questions. And yeah, it was fucking epic. I was fizzing after it.
Yeah. And I think, it makes me think, though, about that's the value your business brings, right? You're giving women effectively that same forum.
Yeah, totally. And like we had sessions we brought people to talk about investment into some of our programs, and just the ability for people to understand that process. The more I learn about investing, the more I think, why the fuck am I working? Because we've made investments in our time, me and my partner, and you just kind of go, what's the point in having a job? When the more you learn about doing it well, the more you're like, what's the point of going out and doing this thing daily to get this money in the bank when actually this thing is sitting there and just growing and growing and growing and growing? Or, it's a total casino, right? Goes up and down, scares the shit out of you, does all the things it does. Totally scary. But it's really intimidating because it's been, money has been thought of as a thing that you just talk about over there, or those people talk about that stuff, when actually it's available for everyone. It's everywhere. It's in everything we do. It's in all the conversations we do. It's made up. So like, what the fuck? It's not even a real thing. Somebody made it up years ago, right? So when you start to unpack that in a full philosophical sense, you're like, why is this such a thing? But it is such a thing. I think for me, from a perspective of, I'm really, really interested in the whole financial insecurity of women. So the thing around, what we know is, through my experience of working in that field, is that 1 in 3 women will be in an abusive relationship. And in most of those relationships, there is financial insecurity. So most women stay in those relationships because they can't leave. Because if I leave, I won't have any money. I haven't got my own pot. I haven't saved any. I haven't got work. I don't contribute. I'm going to say that in inverted commas, because we deem contributing to a family as something that's monetary, when actually time, energy, all of that stuff is still contributing to families. So I find that stuff really interesting, because many women stay in any relationships, whether there's abuse or not, because they it's too scary to leave. Because what the hell am I going to do? So even things like just getting some information for yourself is really, really important. And utilizing things like free lawyer time. Go and ask questions. Do you know what you've got set up at home? Do you know where your banking is? Who controls the banking in your relationship? Have you got insurance? Of all that stuff, we actually need to start having those conversations about, because we just don't talk about it. And it's really, really important.
Especially when it's such a fundamental part of setting up a household, right? And it is just the baseline of being able to set up your functioning life. And so it's such a control point. And like that abusive relationship perspective, it comes down to control, right? There's so many countries in the world that women still can't get bank accounts. They have to get it through their partner or their dad, or they can't have credit cards. And the fact that, that is happening now, that is happening today. This isn't something that like women it has been a means of controlling women for centuries. And so you can see where our inability to talk about it has come from. It's been bred into us. It has come from generations and generations and generations of control. And it fucks me off. I'm getting real ranty.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no. It is. Yeah. It is ranty. And it's like Jen got excited before because she says she loves it. I fucking love it when women in our programs start to understand their potential to earn their own money. Yep. Like, there is nothing like it when women go, I made this and it's gone into this account and I can do what I want with it. I don't have to ask anyone. I've got either a secret bank account, or I've got my own bank account, or I've actually sat down with my partner and discussed the fact that I'm making this now. There is absolutely nothing like that for me as a person supporting somebody else to see that. It's incredible.
Yeah, and I think what's also interesting, and the reason this is super powerful, is women in New Zealand are living longer than ever before, and so if we're disadvantaged through work because there's a gender pay gap, and we're disadvantaged for stepping out of the workforce, out of the paid workforce to have and potentially raise children, then by the time it's very strongly evidence that by the time we reach retirement age, there is a financial gender gap as well. Women typically have less in savings for retirement. Yet we're living to where, if you were a Pākehā child born in New Zealand now, female, your life expectancy is 94. And yet our institutional knowledge and advice we get given around finances is, save for retirement, etc., assuming that your life expectancy is much, much lower. And that's why I love products like Banker, which are female founded and focus on financial education for young women. I'm like, that's amazing. Companies like Sharesies, again, which makes investment accessible, and also female co-founder. Like I actually like that there's some new sources of information and new tools that people can access. The flip side being people still have to A, know about them, B, feel confident using them, and C, want to. And if we have this tall poppy culture where we don't we pull people down when they succeed, and we have an antiquated Western view of success, which equals money and wealth and exterior assets. And then we pull people down when we see that they've got them. Like it's just, it's totally fucked. Totally fucked. Yeah.
It's a no-win situation, right? But that is exactly what control is.
And we see it in say the business side as well. So say we're in a coaching session with one of our clients and she wants to continue on with business coaching with us. She will go and talk to her partner, or she won't. And that partner will put their 2 cents in, and she will say no. So she doesn't get to spend her money the way she wants based on somebody else's opinion of the value of what it is. So that fucks me off so much. The other thing is them secretly investing in themselves and not telling their partner. So for us, it's building confidence and awareness with the women that we have in our community to start conversations at home, because the more that they can get clarity around where they stand with money with their partner allows them also to build the confidence in their business to charge appropriately, to not take on a shitload of work, to set boundaries. And also it affects their children. So now mom's making money and feeling confident. She also has more energy to show up at home and be present and focused, and you're not seeing them, on their computer or phone for 80 hours a week. And it all kind of snowballs together. And when you don't have that conversation and get the clarity of where you can start, there's a lot of assumptions, there's a lot of stories, there's a lot of sneaking around, and women don't then value the investment of getting support because they don't have those conversations and think, oh, I've got this money, but it can be used elsewhere. It could be used for my family. It could be used for this. And it is a huge, huge struggle for us because the money aspect, when women come into our programs or our coaching, we really got to break it down to the bare minimum, the root cause first, and then work from that, because no new pricing strategy, no new offer, no new work week structure is going to fix a money mindset issue. Like no amount of, 6 figures is going to sort a money mindset issue.
Is that the fundamental thing that you see with people coming through, mindsets just not being in this place that it's supposed to be? Where do you think that comes from, especially within New Zealand women?
Colonization.
Fuck yes.
Yeah, like totally. It really is, because it's like I come from, I've just become a citizen of this country. Thank you. Like, thanks for letting
We're
me
very
in.
glad you're here.
Thank you. There was a real deep amount of shame around that for me for a while. I took to my therapist, and she's like, you can either sit and cry about the fact that you come from a fucked up country and now you're living in a country that's been fucked up by that country, or you can start to unravel like what good work you can actually do here. And I was like, you're clever, like there's a reason I pay you for this. But it's so deeply embedded in us. And there's no way, like, it's not going to go away in a week. There's some real deep work that has to go into looking at who taught me this, what has it been doing to me and for me, and what is it doing for me now with the things I want to do. I love that whole I think, Melissa, you said something about a rainy day. Like, why can't the rainy day be today? Why is this not my rainy day? Why do I need to save this money, like my parents taught me, to spend when I'm nearly dead? Like, why can't my rainy day be today? I want to spend money on investing in my business, and that's the rainy day, because it's going to change. Something needs to change.
So, like, changing our mindset around spending as well as changing our mindset around saving.
Spending and saving. We're going to do a huge amount of conversation about that soon, because just the spending mindset is it's
not there.
Oh,
it's not there.
Yeah.
What? I think a lot of, we've got a lot of new tools now to help people invest their money and save and put it into different accounts and whatever you're doing. We do not have enough education, tools, conversations around how to properly spend your money, because you have to spend your money. You have to, especially you're a business owner, you have to spend money in order to get support to help your business run. Whatever it needs to be, there is a level of spending you have to do. And the money stories that you have from your childhood of save, then directly correlates to you as a business owner thinking you have to save. And you'll be on a free, you'll be using a digital tool and refusing to pay $15 a month for the paid version that's going to take away 10 hours of your time. But you refuse to fucking spend money because that's what you saw for years and years and years and years. And when we don't have that self-awareness of, is this actually working for me? Then we continue on with a narrative that wasn't ours to begin with. And we make business and life a lot harder than it needs to be.
And it's an and conversation though, right? Like, you want to save and you want to spend and you want to invest. Perfect world. It's you want to have effort in all three of those areas, and all three take quite different mindsets, and you need a strategy for each. Because if you did grow up with that strong influence from grandparents around save, you wouldn't spend a cent. But then there's an argument now, which especially millennials have, spend $1.10 for every dollar they earn, and things like Afterpay, the amount of debt that young people have is higher than it's ever been. So it's been a counterbalance, and then it's swung the other way. And that's why I think it's all three, and having a clear strategy for each. And I feel really bad because my nieces and nephews end up being talked about quite a lot on this but is unintentional. They are but they have been my little guinea pigs for a few things, and they earn pocket money from me. And I am really adamant that they have to save 20 to 30% for long term, something big, like maybe when they're older, they might want to go on a family holiday, or they might want some spending money for something really cool. I'm okay with that. Then they have a percentage of money that goes into the short-term savings that for the summer holidays, and then they have a percentage that they can spend. And we talk through what that spending looks like, so they know that when they've spent it, it's gone. They can't then go and draw from their savings. And I feel a bit like I really take a hard line on this. And my older nephew, like he could probably he'll roll his eyes, because I was like, forever, even earning $5 in pocket money, 20% had to go into long-term savings, not negotiable. And now that he's working, he's like, I have that drilled into my brain, whereas I didn't have that as a kid, and so
money is invisible, because I remember when I was little, cash was everywhere. So hardly anybody we had credit cards, but they were used for special occasions. Nobody had debit cards. There was either money box in my room that I would put the money in. So you're constantly seeing this actual tangible thing. Whereas now kids don't see money. It's in the air. So trying to explain to my 5-year-old, she's like, she'll go through my wallet and find a random 20-cent coin and be like, what is this? And it's like, oh, this is the thing that mum taps. She's like, oh, is that when you tap? I'm like, yeah, but you just can't see the tap when I tap. So for her, like, trying to understand that the tap and the coin are the same thing is really much harder, I think, for her to understand. And like, when I was little, you were given money, like cash, pocket money, or you were given cash to go and buy something from the supermarket, so I think that whole thing of this thing we can't see, and it's not real, which it isn't, but that I think is harder for young people to kind of often understand. It just must be such a weird concept. Such a weird concept.
I think what you guys do really well, that I really enjoy, is through your socials, you share really transparently the prices of your programs, the successes and failures you've had along the way, and you make talking about money in a business sense really, it gives everyone a benchmark. And what I like is you are articulate around the value that people get. So I love that, and it's rare to see that, and I think it's important, and I wish more businesses were transparent around their pricing and the value that you get in because money in business is a value exchange. I deliver value to you, and in exchange you give me value, and sometimes, typically, that's money. And I love that you are so transparent about it. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, it's a bugbear of ours. If we go on a website of somebody's and try to find their pricing and you can't find it's too hard, we're out. We're out. It's like, why can I not see this? Why do I have to do 4 emails to find out what you charge?
It's so frustrating on so many levels of trying to get business support, and people don't have their prices on their website. Like, that's hours of research for fuck all, and it drives me nuts, because then I have a bad taste in my mouth for these people who are probably doing epic work, probably doing incredible things and building impact, but the customer experience is not there. And that was a non-negotiable from day one for us, is that if we want women to start talking about money and building confidence in money, they have to see it, and they have to see it from us, as in what we charge, because we're not afraid of it. We are so damn proud of our prices. We are so damn proud about what we do and how we impact women, and how they then go and impact their own lives and their own clients and their own work. And we have no qualms about talking about money, because there has to be more visibility for women to have these conversations.
I just want to see the fireworks going off. I loved all of that. It's so good.
We've had so many conversations though with women who've done programs with us, or been clients of ours who've said, "Oh my God, I went home after that conversation about money and had a conversation with my friend, who then had a conversation with her mum, who then had that." The messages that women send us about then going off and having those conversations, they'll go home and say to their friend, "Why are you charging that? You're worth so much more." So that roll-on effect is just it's so incredibly powerful for us to see that happening, because we're like, you go off, do that, go and have those conversations. You can do that as much as you want, and just that feeling of seeing women putting their prices up on their Instagram stories when they're frightened as heck to do it. It's such an amazing feeling seeing that.
Yeah, I've got I love it when having those conversations, and when people get to the point where they realize that there will always be people that have an opinion on your pricing, and will always have an opinion based on what they're able to afford and what they think is value. And if they don't agree with you, they're not the right person for you to be working with. And I love that money is such a thing that can be just a quick sense check on whether that person is someone you should be working with. And it's just more people need to get into that space where it's like, well, fit it in on my pricing or fuck off, because that's what it is. And just getting real intense about it.
Fuck off.
There's such a market. There's such a market pricing perception in New Zealand. So what I noticed in Australia, much more like the US, I think, Jen, from what you were saying earlier, quite comfortable talking about, generalizing obviously, but more comfortable talking about the price of things, the cost of things, the value exchange. And what I realized is the perception of an hourly rate as a consultant looks really different in Auckland, Wellington and Christchurch. And for years, I've had different rates for that exact reason. And what I loved recently here in Christchurch, I was asked to provide an hourly rate, which I don't normally do. I normally do it on a project basis. So people are really clear about these are the outcomes you'll get for this amount, this type of work. And it was an hourly rate piece. So I put it forward, and the woman on the receiving end rang me and said, "You're the cheapest by far. I want you to add more on and then resubmit your pricing schedule." And I loved that, right? And so I was like, that's really interesting that that's women looking out for women. I was like, that's epic. Thank you. And you've given me a reference point that maybe things have shifted a little bit. And the price that made sense a couple of years ago, maybe I needed to review that. So yeah, I just thought that was interesting. I'd love to hear your experiences around if you think there's as we go further south, do we get a bit cheaper?
Yes.
Not Queenstown though. Not Queenstown though.
I'm way cheap. I am way cheap.
Yes. So, the South Island is, honestly, to me, I just find it a little bit ridiculous. But also, I am that person. If I see a woman who has cheap prices, I will DM you and say, "What is this?" I will say, can you, I'm not kidding. And it's not a mean thing. I just I want to know their perspective, but also I then say, okay, you just told me you have 15 years of experience and you are charging $35 an hour, relatively $35 an hour for your experience. I'm going to need you to change that to $250 an hour at benchmark. I'm going to need you to change that. And, they'll laugh, but some people are like, you know what? I have been needing to wanting to change my prices for some time. So then that just gives them the nudge to do it, giving them the permission to do it. So I will always be that person that looks at someone's prices, knows the value they bring, and will say something, because we need more people to do that. We need more women to talk to other women about pricing. And it's not a competitor thing. I genuinely want women to make more money.
Yeah, there has to be, I come from an NGO hangover, right? So, it's a real thing. And we've had clients who've come from NGOs who've then started their own thing. And that literally disgraceful amount of money that NGOs and people in the social sector are paid, teachers, social workers, it makes me so mad. And I recently found out, I've done the type of work that I used to do for 20 years experience. And I went back and asked what the going rate was. And I was like, how do you live? Like the fact that this is not being talked at a government level is just it's disgusting actually what people are paid. Because you're like you it's like, oh, it's all right because you're an NGO. It's like, no, it's not. That's not all right.
No.
That's not all right that you're paying somebody $30 an hour when I could go. Literally, 13-year-olds in Queenstown are being paid $28 an hour to wash up at the minute.
Well, the
And I'm
minimum
like,
wage. The minimum wage is moving to 23. So exactly, you could work in hospo with no experience straight out of high school.
I've known nurses who've left and gone and worked in cafes. Not that there's anything wrong with cafe work, but they've gone, I'm leaving nursing because it's so stressful and I'm going to go and work in a restaurant because I get paid better. And I'm like, there's something terribly wrong.
Well, there's also a gender bias in that too, right? Because those industries are typically filled by, those roles are typically filled by women. If you think about nursing, teaching, etc., there is a gender bias in that. So we're just adding more to this, to the problem.
Totally.
Before we all get out brown paper bags and start hyperventilating because we're so enraged by society, I feel like this could be 10 more episodes around because but I think we've all got probably some similar reckons on some of this stuff, and it'd be awesome to tease it out. But I figure we might, people might get a bit confused. They have tuned into the BBC if we go any further on how we want to change the system. But I do agree. I think that's an important conversation. But I'm just really mindful that we might want to wrap up here with any final thoughts from you both on, I guess, a key takeaway or a key point that you want to make to leave with listeners around their money mindset.
Ooh, I think for me, go and do like some work around your money stories. Like actually actively, like go and buy that book, or go and listen to that audio podcast you've seen, or go and do that online course, or just start to dip into actually exploring what you think and where that comes from. Because the word of warning, you'll start to notice it pops up all over the place. So be really kind to yourself, because it is filled with emotion. Like it's filled with emotion. But just like go and actually take some time to look at how that affects you. And then you'll see it where it pops up all over the place.
Nice. And what about you, Jen?
I just want women to rethink the way that money is, yes, it's something that we can spend and we can invest and we can save, but it also allows you space to think. It gives you options. It helps you build more impact. Like you said earlier, Melissa, it does much more than just one thing. It has a massive ripple effect. And when we do not give ourselves permission to make more money, we are denying other people impact. We're denying results. We're denying helping this entire country, or all the women in this country, or people in this country, to learn more about money, to make more money. So I want people to understand that you can enjoy money. You can want a lot of it. You can build massive impact with a lot of money, and it doesn't make you a greedy or bad person. You can want to make $1 million and save the world. You can want to make a shitload of money and be a good person. This isn't an or situation. It's an and. You can be an and person. So be kind to yourself, but really, really take on how you feel about money. And if it's not a positive experience, it's your responsibility to change that.
Oh my God. Fuck yeah. Fuck yes. Hey, look, my wrap up is fuck the patriarchy, get that money, yo.
Go and get
it. Get it. All right, Melissa, have you got any key takeouts before we jump into tweet of the week?
That I probably need to attend Jen and Jane's courses as well. Like, there's a lot in there that I think you can be.
We have coaching available.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it too. Is you move down a pathway and you think you're at a place in time, and actually sometimes someone else's perspective on it and that conversation and the questions they ask you really shifts your thinking. And I think there's something to be said about learning from people that have been on the learning journey or that have a different mindset from you. So I just think there's for business owners listening, or entrepreneurs, or people that want to shift their mindset around their side hustle and how they might grow things. I love the fact that they've got access to Kiwi women who are here by choice and want to contribute in an impactful way and are not afraid to show up and have big conversations. So I didn't actually mean this to be a plug for your business, but it is, because I think it would be amazing. And I've read the testimonial, so I know your past clients rave about the work you do. So I just think it's really awesome. I'm totally here for it. I'm fangirling over you both. So thank you so much for being our inaugural Quad Pod guests. I love that.
Non-shameful plug.
Hey, look, let's do an actual plug. Where can people find you if they're interested in doing your courses? How they find you?
Well, currently at the moment, we are doing private business coaching. So we are not doing any courses at the moment. We do have space for a new client. So if somebody is looking to work on their money mindset, setting boundaries, pricing their offers, all that fun stuff, come find us on Instagram at JJ Excellent Adventure and just hit us up in the DMs and we can talk about that. And you can also take advantage, if this episode is going to air in 2022, of our 2022 rates, because we aren't just talking about money. We take action, and in 2023, our rates are increasing. So if you want to take advantage of those rates we've got right now, come chat.
Amazing. And we will link the Instagram in the show notes as well for anyone to easily access. Cool. What have you got for your tweet of the week, Melissa?
I decided to lighten it up a bit and a little bit, but it is finance related. And it's from a Twitter account called @BookishSeaWitch. And she says, everything went downhill when we got rid of capes. How is anyone supposed to make a swooshy dramatic exit in this economy?
I agree.
I completely agree, but I would be the person that got my swooshy cape stuck in the door as I also slammed it behind me on the way out.
Yeah, same. You'd have to come back in and pull it out and then go back again.
Yeah. I feel like this is a bit on brand and a bit on topic, so I'm here for my my TikTok of the week. It's from Ali Beliers, and it's just a bit of fun.
People try to insult me and tell me I look like a man. That's fine. Say it louder. Say it so damn loud my employer hears it. I'm trying to make that he, him money, baby. You see me out on the streets, she, her pronouns. You see me in a cubicle or an office, he, him is just fine. I go from work to work.
That he, him money, baby.
Yeah.
I loved it. I was just like, this is the kind of energy. Take an insult and fucking make it into something amazing.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you again to Jen and Jane from Jen and Jane's Excellent Adventure for joining us for our last couple of F-word episodes. If you haven't already listened to our fun episode, head back on Spotify, Google, Apple, anywhere you get your podcasts, you'll be able to find Careering and have a listen to it. As we said before, we will link Jen and Jane's Instagram in our show notes, so go and check them out and give them a follow. While you're at it, give us a follow because we love them followers. And hey, look, if you're feeling generous, give us 5 stars on any of the things that you listen to, because we will take nothing less than 5. We know our value.
Booyah.
Fuck yeah. But until next time, get out there, back yourself, and make that money, bitch.